Every single entrepreneur that is out there is complaining about some level of their finances or of their monthly bill when it comes to the expenses that their business takes for them. But I guarantee you that you are giving a massive, or paying better yet, a massive invisible bill that you can't even see every single month that isn't on your bank statement. It's called the ignorance tax. And it's the reason you are working 80 hours a week and barely scraping by. If you're a business owner who has been running a business for a while, there is a reality. There's a lot of overhead expenses. There's a lot of expenses in general when it comes to your income. Regardless of what format of business you own, there is always going to be expenses that come with the business that you are running. However, there is a reality that is much more expensive than any of these things that you are paying, and it is an ignorance tax. When you are ignorant of different topics when it comes to your business, what happens? You lose money. You are paying more money. Why? Although it's not directly paying, it is money that you are losing, but it is also something that you are paying in a format that is not necessarily money. In many cases, business owners are paying the reality of not knowing how to improve their system, not knowing how to improve their business, and having reached a rooftop or a ceiling of where they could reach their business to. When they hit this ceiling that caps them off, they begin to work harder and harder and harder. They've reached a certain level of their business and they work so hard that they begin to try to get to another level, but without having the proper system in place, without having the proper understanding in place, in the end of the day, their hard work is only going to reach them that far. And the problem is that there's only so many hours in a day that you could put of work for you to be able to reach further. Although putting in hours of work is important, more important as well, or just as important, is understanding and learning more and understanding when to begin to put in something different for you to be able to reach a different result. Let me put it this way to be more clear. If a system can make you $10,000 right now, month to month to month, but you don't know how to build it, your ignorance is literally costing you $10,000 a month. It's the same reality with a business owner. Again, I've talked about mechanic shops on and on again, but regardless of what is your business type, I'll give the example of a mechanic shop. If a mechanic shop doesn't have a computer to diagnose cars, what happens to these mechanics? All that money that they don't have because of the fact that they don't know how to use a computer for diagnosing is money that they are losing to competitors. It is thousands and thousands of dollars monthly basis that they are losing because they are not understanding how it is that they have to use this computer. Right? It is the same thing in any level of what you do. If you're someone that is a roofer, if you don't understand a specific type of thing that you have to do when it comes to roofing, something that's more common, maybe solar panels, that is thousands and thousands of dollars that you could be earning on a monthly basis. If you don't have the understanding of how to do this and there's ignorance in that aspect, then you are losing that much money on a monthly basis. I don't know what could be your ignorance tax, but in most cases, most business have some level of ignorance tax, and that's why it's so important to be willing to invest in yourself, to be willing to be someone that is willing to earn more, to learn more, and to be able to grow in that aspect. But not only that, but as someone that's willing to invest in their business so that their business could as well grow that much more and be less ignorant on a business level as an owner, and also the business itself begin to have those same tools that you are learning to be able to grow that much more. In many cases, ironic as it is, business owners are willing to manually sit down, do calls for pickup of vehicles. I'll give them the example of a mechanic shop. They'll pick up, hey, your car is ready for pickup. Hey, you gave me a call, I'm just following up. And they'll do 50 different calls for 50 different reasons that they could have just automated. And they'll spend hours upon hours just on a weekly basis, just sitting down doing follow up after follow up after follow up, and they refuse to be able to pay a system that will do these things automatically for them. AI systems that are out there that'll do these things automatically for them. They refuse to pay $100, $200, $300 a month for software when they spend 20 hours a week just sitting there doing follow-ups. When you sit down and do the math of what a business owner's time is worth, in most cases it's worth, let's put it as an example, $50, but in most cases it's worth much more. If you sit down and you look at $50 an hour and you literally look at the fact that they're sitting down doing 20 hours, if you do the math, 20 times 50 is about $1,000. You spent $1,000 of your time to save 100 or maybe 200 or maybe $300. The fact of the matter is that if you think that this is worth it, then let me tell you something, you're terrible at math. The reality is that you being able to save up time for you to invest more time in what matters is what will end up making and producing more for your business. Again, you as a business owner, your time is worth something. Every hour that you are spending doing something you don't have to do is time that you're not spending investing into the business for the future. So again, think about these aspects of things when it comes to your business. And yes, although it's important to sometimes be some level of cheap or frugal in order to save money, the fact of the matter is that sometimes it's not about spending. Sometimes certain expenses are more of an investment. When you sit down and look at a budget, me that come from a finance coaching background, when I sit down and look at a budget, and budgeting is not an app that I would consider just a regular subscription. It is a subscription, not like Netflix, not like Amazon Prime, not like any other subscription that you could have out there. It is a subscription that you are using in order to invest more and save more. Budgeting has saved me thousands of dollars, and that is completely different to what Netflix does or to what Amazon Prime does. It is two different worlds. There's certain things, certain expenses that are investments. There's certain expenses that give back to you and that you don't even realize it's giving back to you. Don't be the person and the business owner that wants to save $100 and wants to save pennies in order to just do things and just spend more time indirectly and spend your personal time as a business owner that is worth much more than just $100, $200, $300, or $500 in that case. Again, if we think about this, 20 hours a week times 50, we're talking about in a week, $1,000. Imagine in a month, we're talking about $4,000. Now, most business owners are spending on just doing calls that they could be automating and they could be cutting that time way less. And again, the concept of delegation is an important aspect of this. Not only should you use a system that can automate a lot of these things, but if you do have to make certain calls, begin to delegate that. Don't count on only yourself to do that. Count on some of your employees to be able to do that stuff for you. Again, when you are a solopreneur or an entrepreneur that's starting a business by themselves, or in general, any entrepreneur out there that has a business, when you are in this situation, you miss calls. You miss a ton of calls. You forget to text back. And every lead that becomes cold because you were busy doing something else, because you were busy with your family, or you were busy sitting down with your wife and spending time, not that those things aren't important, they're 100% important, but every single thing, every single lead that you are missing and you're not answering, you're not texting back to immediately, is things that you are paying ignorance tax on. You don't have a traffic problem. You don't have a leaky bucket. You have an issue that's called ignorance. And that ignorance is the reality that if you had a system that could immediately give these people a text the moment you missed a call, immediately after you missed a call, if you could have a system that could text these people back, you don't lose these leads necessarily. You have a cold lead you have a lead that could become a cold lead later because you didn't call or text, and instead you maintained them warm by maintaining a texting system that's automatic for you. And ignorance tax in this aspect would be you not understanding that a system like Go High Level could have you maintain leads a lot more warmer and that way easier to close instead of maintaining them cold and having them way much harder, or so much harder to close in the future. Again, sit down and think about these aspects of things. You do not want to trade time with your family, time with your kids, for you to be able to answer calls and for you to be able to answer texts when you have a system that could do it automatically for you. Think about these aspects of things. Yes, will it cost you $100, $200, $300? It is possible it will. But in the end of the day, is that something that is worth it? 100%. Because one lead that you close, I don't know what it is in your case, but in many cases, one lead that you close could simply pay off that tax that you're paying to have a system in place. Imagine if you close 10 people because you have a system that is automatically texting people back the moment that the moment that you miss the call. So think about these aspects of things and don't pay the ignorance tax on this. As I sit here and I talk about all of this, I think about the fact that I recently just set up a Go High Level for my father's shop, my father and brother's shop. And as I begin to look at some of the messages that are going on, the automatic messages that people are receiving because of missed calls, I realize how many calls business owners are really missing out there. I'm averaging in these cases about 10, 15 missed calls a day, if not more, that my brother's shop is losing, my father's shop is losing because of the fact that they don't answer the phone. And some of these jobs, based on some of the text that I'm seeing, are worth $4,000, $5,000 jobs. If you think about it, if out of the 15 calls, only 5 of them close out. Let's be even more conservative. Only 2 of them end up coming to the shop and end up closing out, and they maintain themselves warm because they're receiving a text. What happens? These leads, when they close out, they are worth, let's say 4,000 is one, and the other one is just a $500 job. We're being conservative once again. We're talking about $4,500 in 2 calls in just 2 days. So when we sit down and we look at this, we understand that yes, there is a certain level of cost that comes with the system. But if you sit down and look at just this example, we're talking about 4,500. They're netting because of the fact of what their expense is. And when we remove that from the income that they're receiving from maintaining these clients warm, they're netting an amount that is so much greater than what they are paying, thousands and thousands of dollars greater than what they are paying. So at the end of the day, if you sit down and think about it, ignorance tax ultimately will cost you more money. It is something to invest in when you think about a system that could begin to save you time and begin to maintain your leads warmer, and by you not really even doing much for it. It's completely automatic. So sit down and think about these things. These are realities that business owners don't even realize they're losing money by not understanding things like this. And let me encourage you to think of things in this way. When you buy a system that is doing work that you would manually do and is doing it automatically for you, when you buy a system that is taking away hours of work and putting it and doing it automatically, work that you would be dedicating time to, and it is doing it automatically to you and is buying you back that time, you are realistically practically buying an employee, right? If we, again, the example of a mechanic shop, if you have a mechanic, a business owner that's a mechanic that's working on a car, that could be one thing. And then the other scenario could be that he gets an employee and that employee works in the car for him. And the business owner can now begin to think about, how am I going to produce more with my business? And how am I going to dedicate now this time that I have to make my business grow to another level? When you invest in a system, you aren't buying software. You're buying a digital employee that never sleeps, never complains, and immediately stops you from paying the ignorance tax. Think about these aspects of things when it comes to your business. How much are you losing in ignorance tax? How much are you putting down on the table month to month of time that you could be dedicating to more important things? You as a business owner, how much is your time worth in the end of the day? And how much time are you losing on things that you don't have to be spending time on? And if you didn't have this ignorance tax, you could just be investing that time into a system, and that system can now take away all that time that you're investing into making calls, into doing different manual tasks, and now you can begin to focus on growing your business to another level. So sit down, think about these aspects of things and realize that ignorance tax is costing you dearly. It's costing you a lot, and it is not worth the ignorance that you have on whatever topic it is. Whether it is a system that you need to put in place, or whether it is learning more about AI, whatever it is that you have to do, whatever it is that you need to grow in, don't allow yourself to stay stagnant. Grow, invest, and don't lose money on this ignorance tax just because of the fact that you are just comfortable with being in the same place that you've been in for years and years and years. If you are ready to stop paying the ignorance tax and want to install a system that catches every lead and automates your business, click the link below. Let's plug the holes in your bucket and in that ignorance tax that is existent in your business. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, to give a like, to put a comment, and if you want more information or you would like a free consultation, just some time to talk about whatever your business is going through and how to put a system that can help you have another employee within your business not pay this ignorance tax and begin to have a system that can help you automate a lot of the things that you're dedicating time to. If you would like something like that, please go to my page, santosfinancialstrategy.com. And again, if you are looking for a path to freedom, here is a place that you'll find it. Again, here's my entrepreneurial journey, and subscribe if you would like to follow it.